What's up guys, welcome back to Social Slugfest, and thank you for all the love that you showed on the videos leading up to the KSI fight week, and it was incredible. I will be uploading a video of basically highlighting what my favourite parts were about the night because I attended the event, but the reason I'm here today is because Jake Paul's next opponent is basically being confirmed, and it is the legend, the MMA legend, the GOAT potentially for some people, Anderson Silva. And this one has got a lot of people excited simply because a lot of people are viewing him as Jake's first credible opponent in boxing. The reason behind this is obviously Anderson Silva's had a couple of fights, but he fought Julio Chavez Jr., beat him quite comfortably, and I think a lot of people are excited to see how Jake matches up with someone who's a little bit bigger in size. He's obviously fought Tyron Woodley twice. Tyron Woodley fought as a 170 pounder. Anderson Silva's slightly bigger. He's fought at 185 pounds in the UFC for the main part of his career. So it's going to be really exciting to see how Jake does against a larger opponent. Jake's obviously probably still bigger than Anderson Silva in terms of size, but I'm assuming the fight takes place at around 185, 190 pounds, and it'll be really exciting to see how he matches up against Silva, just because we know that Silva is an absolute wizard when it comes to striking. So it's a very, very exciting fight. I think Jake had to kind of have this fight as well. He's been going down the pro boxer route of trying to fight Tommy Fury. That's fell through a couple of times. There was Hasim Rahman Jr. That fell through. And I think after the KSI fight, I think the whole credibility of fighting a pro boxer was slightly diminished simply because of how KSI and that Pineda fight went. But for me, in terms of what Jake's doing, I think this is a step up. So I'm very excited for this fight. Yeah, in terms of age, so Anderson Silva is 47 years old, but we know that he still has hands. And I guess at the heavier divisions, the age doesn't matter as much. Of course, it's still going to play a factor, but the power will still be there. The power is usually one of the last things to go, and the technical ability, at the end of the day, we all know how technical Anderson Silva is. So it's a very, very exciting matchup. Well, firstly, let's go into the build-up. The build-up's going to be slightly different because I think it's going to be more of a respectful fight, because I think Jake Paul obviously looks up to Anderson Silva. I know Jake and Logan both watch MMA growing up, so I'm hoping that he shows Anderson Silva the respect that he deserves, and I hope he doesn't go down the route of trying to trash talk Anderson Silva, unless he wants to really go down the villain route, because I think that will get a lot of people riled up if he starts acting how he usually acts towards Anderson Silva. I think it's very good for Anderson Silva as well, because obviously it's a payday for him. He's been a loyal servant to the MMA community, and he's even gone into boxing and obviously shown his credentials and shown what he can do. The issue for me comes down to, obviously, Jake's a fresher opponent. Anderson Silva, he's obviously towards the end of his career in there, and I think that in terms of volume, I think that Anderson Silva can really stick it on Jake, where Tyron Woodley actually didn't. That fight was quite stagnant up until the knockout. Even the first fight, if you've actually watched the fights, they're not the most exciting fights. Whereas I think with Anderson Silva's style, he might come in there to try and smother him, but we also know how incredible of a counter-puncher he is. That's the only thing that kind of creeps a seed of doubt into my mind about this fight being exciting, because I think both guys do like counter-punching. I don't see Jake going in there and really taking it to him. I think Jake's going to kind of sit back and look for that big shot. He loves getting those highlight reel knockouts, and for him to get another one on his resume, especially over an MMA legend like Anderson Silva, will be massive. It's a huge fight. Dana White's been asked a question about it after his press conference yesterday evening, and I think even he kind of has a bit of respect for Jake for taking this fight, and I think it's going to only propel him even further in terms of actually proving that he is a real boxer. I think at this point there's not much discussion. The guy can fight, we know that. The guy's got power. It's hard to put down an opponent, and he's done that. So For me, for Anderson Silva going in there, I think the best plan would be for him is to actually put it on Jake, put the pressure on Jake. There's only been one opponent in the past really that's tried that. That was a Nissan Gibb in his first professional fight. But Gibb, no disrespect to Gibb, is not of the caliber of Anderson Silva. So I think, personally, I think that's going to be the route that Anderson Silva needs to take in there against Jake. And for Jake, I think it's about being smart and making those taking those calculated shots when they arise within the fight. In terms of what this means for YouTube boxing, it's a strange one, because obviously things are kind of gearing towards that KSI versus Jake Paul fight, and it's risky for Jake, because if you look at the odds makers, they've for the first time put Anderson Silva as a favourite. So Jake will be an underdog going into this fight, and I believe it's the first time in his professional boxing career he has been the underdog. So I don't know whether he'll relish in that, or whether obviously it's going to be a lot for him on the night. I think he's definitely thrown himself into the deep end, and that's something to commend. If he gets through this fight, I think it then puts pressure on KSI to then obviously step up in terms of opponents, and he's obviously mentioned the likes of Tommy Fury, Andrew Tate, and those are exciting fights as well. But what we really need is both of those guys to keep winning to make the fight between them two an absolute blockbuster next year. But that's all there is really at this point. It's an exciting fight. I just thought I'd update some of you guys if you haven't seen the news. That's it from me. Drop a like on the video. Comment down below how you think Anderson Silva will do, or how you think Jake Paul will do, because it's a bit of a 50-50 for me, this one. This is a close fight. Like with Tyron Woodley too, I think a lot of people thought Jake was going to smoke him, Ben Askren, all of that. They weren't 50-50 fights. I think this is the closest thing we've had to a 50-50. So let me know your thoughts down below, and keep sharing love on the channel. Peace.